ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਸਾਧ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸੱਚ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. So this talk, like you've heard, that the theme of the whole camp is Seva, Simran and Sacrifice. This talk is going to be on Seva. Bhai Gurdas Singh has also done Seva, the talk on Seva. So there might be some things in this talk that we link in from that talk into this one and vice versa. But ultimately there will be different things covered in this talk. So first of all, just going over the definition of a Seva. Right, this definition is taken from Mahan Kosh, which is kind of like the Punjabi dictionary that you can refer to. So the straightforward definition of a seva is khidmat or service. We also know the seva as selfless service, okay? But that selfless service comes from whether we consider it nishkam or sakam. So there's those two types of seva, right? We've got nishkam seva, which is when you do seva without any desires, without any wants, right? You're doing it for the love of the Guru, the love of the Sangat, yeah? And then Sakam Seva is Seva that you may do which you may have a desire or a want that you want fulfilling. And you're doing that Seva to be rewarded with that desire, okay? And Sadhguru Sahib Ji has said, Nanak Ram Nam Manarata Gurmat Pai Sahaj Seva. That Tan Sahib Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji is saying is that those that are imbued, those that are range hoye in Akaal Purkh Vaheguru Ji's Naam, right, that they find the true meanings, the true teachings of Sadhguru Sahib Ji, and in turn they do the seva of Guru Sahib. Then the arth or the translation of sevak is someone that who does Guruji seva, right? But not just does their seva, but also listens, believes and follows every single hukum from the Guru. So the importance of seva, right? So this kind of, as an overview, looks at the importance of the seva, but we'll go into the talk, when we go into the talk, we'll see more of the examples of what the importance of doing seva is, okay? So we've been given this human life, right, to come to this world to do seva, right? And we're going to look further on at the different types of seva that Gursikhs, our gurus, have done through their life, all the way up to the current time, right? To do seva, you have to have humility. You can't do it in ego, because if you do that seva in ego, then it will be fruitless. You won't get any of the fruits of that seva that you've done, okay? So you have to do it in humility and not in home, in ego, right? When you do it in humility and you do that seva in humility, what happens if you consider you've got a banda, this man, right? The man that we have is a banda and is filled with gandgi or dirty water, right? If we do Naam, if we do Simran, or we do Path, right, is going into this banda, right? But if we do Seva, right, we eradicate, we start to, and we do it in humility, we start to clear that banda. We start to cleanse that banda and it becomes pure. Then we can start to fill it with that Bani, we can start filling it with that Naam Simran, right? And then that will become more fruitful for us. So when the man is pure, one gains that spiritual wisdom. And then when it's pure, when it's filled with that Seva, that Simran, then we can gain that spiritual knowledge, right? That spiritual knowledge, Maharaj has told us, is called Brahm Gyan. Brahm Gyan is that word, the knowledge of Akaal Takhat Vaheguru. When we get that knowledge of Akaal Takhat Vaheguru, we have that prem, we have that love, and we become one with Akaal Takhat Vaheguru, and we break free of the birth and death cycles that we're going through. And that's when we leave this world, we become one with Akaal Takhat Vaheguru. So Sant Kartar Sahib Ji, this talk is based around a Shabad. So we were asked to obviously base our talks on these topics of Seva, Simran and sacrifice, but also go through a Shabad which links in the essence or the importance of that topic. In this case is Seva. And I chose this Shabad. This Shabad is from Asa Di Vaar. Tan Sahib Sri Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji has blessed us with this Shabad in Asa Di Vaar. In a Gursikh's Jeevani, Maharaj has given us different baniya that we read. And when we read those different baniya, they achieve a different outcome. For example, we read Japji Sahib, it gives us Brahm Gyan. And Japji Sahib is part of our Panj Baniya, that Nitinin that we do every single morning as a Gursikh. Sri Rahara Sahib gives us a place in Sachkhand. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Maharaj has given Asa Di Vaar, which is read typically as in the morning in Kirtan format. And this instructs us and guides us throughout the day, gives us guidance through the day, and teaches the Gursikhs how we should live, right? And in this Shabad, I'm not going to go through the whole Shabad, but I'm going to give you an essence of the first. This is a salok, so it's part of Asa Di Vaar. It's the 7th salok, and here Sheikh Brahm is asking Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji that people come and go, right? Jyondeya, Mardeya, they go through this life cycle. Why is this? Why is this happening? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji says that home which aya, home which gaya, home which jamya, home which muwa. That home mein, ego, people are born in it, people die in it. People live throughout their lives in this ego, in this home mein. That home which ditta, home which leya. That in home mein, in ego, they give and they take. Home which khatya, home which gaya. Home which satya kuriyar. That in home mein, they do truthful acts and they do false acts, right? So Maharaj is explaining everything that we do in our lives, whether we do it intentionally or we may be doing it unintentionally rather, we're doing it in home. So one might think, myself, I might think, you know what, I'm really, I haven't got ego, I'm really, I've got a lot of humility when it comes to, when it comes to doing like seva, right? I've got a lot of humility. My seva karta, I've got a lot of humility. But then when it comes to something like if I'm driving down the road and I get a bit of road rage, I show my ego there, right? Then I've showed that I still have that ego, right? And we're all like that. We might think, I've got a lot of humility here, but in a different action, in a different act, you might show your ego. Okay, Maharaj says that this ego is very, very difficult to get rid of. So we're going through this Shabad, but I'm not going through each Pangati like I said, because what it is that the salok is split up into the first part, then the middle part, and then the final part. And the final part is the kind of takeaway message that we want to take from this Shabad, from this salok. And that's what we're going to go through in a bit more detail while we go through the talk. So Sahib Sri Guru Angad Dev Ji, Mahalla Duja, they then say that home iha jaat hai, home karam kamai hai. That home is our caste, is our jaat, home karam kamai hai. That the karam that we do are all in, the actions that we do are all in home. Okay? We're doing them all in ego. And then home e bandana phir juni pahe. That this bandana, these shackles that we're enslaved with are all in home, in ego, right? And that's why we have to come and go. So when I go back to that original question, Sheikh Ibrahim asked Guru Nanak Dev Ji that why do we come and go into this life form? Amar is saying because of this home, we're going to keep coming and going. And then Sheikh Ibrahim says to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, then how do we break free from this? Give us the method to basically break free from this home. And Sadhguru Sahib Ji then uttars the Pauri, which is the final part of this Shabad, right? And they say, Sev Kiti Santo Ki, Jina Sacho Satti Aya. And throughout this Shabad, what we're going to do is we're going to reflect on this Shabad and then go through Gursikhs throughout lifetime, our Guru Sahibs that have done Seva, and how this Shabad relates to their Jeevan, their lives, and how they showed each of these Pangatiya, each of the translation of these Pangatiya in their life, right? And how they show us today and in that time. Singh Sahib, Gyani, Mal Singh, they were the head Granthi of Sachkhand Sri Harmandir Sahib. They've written a book, and in that book, they've mentioned 9 Seva, 9 different types of Seva. And these different types of Seva are going to be kind of captured throughout this talk. And we're going to go through them and give examples and linking that Shabad. So the first type of Seva that was mentioned was Gur Seva. Sadhgur ki Seva safal hai, je ko kare chit laye. That if you do Sadhguru Sahib Ji di Seva, if you do it with true passion, you do it with entire focus, that Seva is safal. That becomes fruitful and rewarding. Man chindya phal pavana home vich ho jaye. That man chindya phal, those mind's desires, man chindya, those desires of that man, of your man, right? They will obtain those fruits. All of those desires will become true, right? And that home vich ho jaye, that home, that ego departs. It will be vanished. If you do Guru Seva with your focus, with Nishkam, in Nishkam. And I went through this example in the previous talk, and this example of Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji in their old age, in their birth avastha, doing Seva of Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji. For 12 years, Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji used to do Seva of Guru Angad Dev Ji. And what they used to do was, first of all, when they came to the sanctuary of Guru Angad Sahib Ji, they thought, what can I do? What Seva can I do of Guru Sahibs, right, that will be fruitful? And they decided that they would start to bring water back and forth from the Bias River. So from Khadur Sahib, every morning, Amrit Vele, they used to wake up before Guru Sahib, Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji, in their old age of about 71 years old they were at this time. And they would walk to Bias, which is quite a few miles away from Khadur Sahib. They used to walk there, Amrit Vele, in the middle of the night, before Guru Sahib Ji was woken up, with this gara, with this gagar, and then they used to fill the water up from Bias River and then carry it back on their head, right? And when they used to go back, that jal was used for doing Ishnandi Seva of Guru Angad Dev Sahib Ji. They used to wash Maharaj's clothes. They used to use that water in the langar as well. And then they would do Seva of Guru Angad Sahib Ji, washing their clothes, bathing them, putting their clothes out to dry. And they did this for 12 years, lagatar, without missing a day. And whilst they did this Seva, they continually read 84 Japji Sahibs every single day while they were doing this Seva. So they wouldn't talk much. Their bastar were patte, their clothes were ripped and torn. And each year because of the seva that they did, Guru Angad Dev Ji would bless them with a sarupa. And they would take that sarupa and they would wrap it around their head. They would tie it over their head. And nowadays, when we get sarupe, we end up throwing them in the corner of the room, or we end up giving them away. But Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji kept that sarupa with so much love, with pyar, right? That was a bakshish that Guru Angad Dev Ji gave to them. And they wrapped it around their head. In 12 years, they would build up. Every year, they'd get a new sarupa and they'd put that over, they'd tie that over. And it got so big that the mala would get so big, to keep it secure, they would tie a rassi around it as well. And to keep it secure, because what they do is carry that gargar back on their head. And a lot of the time, water would spill on their dastar and it would get wet and it'd stay wet. That's the scar they had for those saruppe. They take them off, right? And they'd still, a lot of people now might have shanka and say that Maharaj kire pege, right? But Maharaj used to still comb their gaze twice a day, because there's that bhajan, right? That kanga dunne waqt kar paag tune kar bande, right? That we do our kanga and our gaze twice a day. And we tie our dastar lar by lar each and every day. Maharaj followed that. And they did that for 12 years. And at one time, when Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji from Khadur side were about to leave, there was a really bad storm. And the floor was flooded with water. The mitti had become soft. It was like mud, right? There was dua everywhere. But Maharaj still went and to collect water from the bias. And when they were walking, they collected the water and they were walking back. They had the gargar on their head and they fell over. There was like a small drakht that was sticking out. And because the water was covering, they didn't see it, and they tripped over that. And they fell in a door. It was a muddy door, and they fell in there. But because they didn't want to let the gargar fall, they kept the gargar on their head. And there was a house opposite, and in that house there lived a clothes weaver, right, and his wife. And his wife woke up and she saw this happening in front of her. And she started saying to her husband, "Oh, is that Amar Das who stays and looks after Guru Angad Dev Ji?" And he's lying there in the mud. And she started shouting at him. And she started shouting at him and started calling him a destitute. And then, "What are you doing? Right, you're making a rola banandaya, you're causing a stress and stuff." And she spoke very, very rudely to Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji. But they didn't speak because they would recite their Japji Sahib parts. But when she kept saying it, Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji said, "Tu pagal ya, chop kar, tu pagal ya," right? And she actually went pagal. Because at this point, Maharaj had done seva for so many years, right, that they started getting that, building up prem for Guru Sahib, and they started getting Riddhya Siddhya. They started getting these powers. They never used them, but what they did was they started getting these Riddhya Siddhya. And Maharaj then gave that bhajan, that tu pagal ya, and wo pagal hogi, sachi pagal hogi, right? And Maharaj then just ignored her, carried on doing their part, got up and walked back to Guru Angad Dev Ji, who were waiting to do a shnan. They were waiting, and they goes, "Late kate hoya, why have you got late?" And Maharaj then explained what had happened. That bahut chikkar si, I fell over, utte jida seva gargar di seva utte sees de upar rakhya si, and let it fall. And then uthon July hi o te galt bolne lag gi bahut. She started speaking really rudely to me. She said all these things, that I'm a destitute, right? And thode baare bhi galt bolne lag gi. And mainu utte fir thoda jiha gussa lag gaya. And Maharaj explained, Guru Amar Das Ji explained everything to Guru Angad Dev Ji at that time. Guru Angad Dev Ji didn't say anything, right? They did Ishnan di seva karke, Maharaj ne ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਸਤਰ ਵੀ ਧੋਤੇ, ਸੁਕਨਾ ਪਾਤੇ, right? And then later on in the evening, what happened is that July, because she's gone pagal, her husband realized what had happened, and he took her to see Guru Angad Dev Ji. And when they went to see Guru Angad Dev Ji, just by doing the darshan of Guru Angad Dev Ji, theek hogi. She started speaking again, theek hogi. And then she explained to Guru Angad Dev Ji what had happened. right? Then Guru Angad Dev Ji, the next morning, after Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji did their seva, asked, what happened yesterday? Tell me again. Ki hoya? Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji explained everything again, what happened. And that बहुत गलत बोलने लगी, and for that reason, you know, मैं क्या तू पागल या तू चुप कर पागल या, right? And Guru Angad Dev Ji was so happy to hear about the seva that they'd done for 12 years, the Gagar di Seva, even in these conditions, that they were holding the Gagar on their head and wouldn't let it fall. That enne paresan hoye, right? That they gave different vars for each of the year of seva that they did. The different vars like Nimane de maan, ne tane de taan, ne otiyan di ot, ne asre de asre, ne pattiyan di pat, ne gattiyan di gat, ne teriyan de ter. 12 different vars, 12 different bhajans, right? They gave to Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji. They blessed them with those bhajans. And after that, they gave him the Gurta Gaddi. They gave that Gurta Gaddi, that jot of Guru Angad Dev Ji went into Guru Amar Das Sahib Ji. So the seva that they did, Guran di seva kite, man la ke, man chit karke, they did that seva, right, without any ichha, without any desires. They did it for the love of the Guru, right? It might not have started with that strong love from the start. They still had that sharda, that love. But as they did that seva, that love grew. That love grew and grew and grew, right? And for that seva, they were rewarded with the Gurta Gaddi, right? And their whole jida apne ansban sara sawar ho gaya. So Doojee seva. This is that second type of seva that was mentioned. That Doojee seva is when someone does the sangat, the seva of Guru Sahib, but leaves that seva to do seva of someone else or something else, like Devi Devte andi seva karan lag jande. Bhai Dunijand was a Sikh of Guru Gobind Singh Ji and fought in the army with Guru Gobind Singh Ji. And jadon Mughal ne char ke aaye, they had that hathi covered in they had the hathi covered in iron plates, in armor, totally covered from head to toe in armor. And Mughal ne onu sharab pila ke, that hathi was going crazy towards Guru Sahib. And Guru Sahib then gave the button to Dunijand to fight that hathi, because Dunijand was the biggest and the strongest soldier in that army. So and in a way, Dunijand maybe had that bit of that home, that hankar. Like, remember this now, going back to that with home, you can't do that seva. He had the bit of that home, hankar, that main sab to takraya, right? I'm the biggest one in this army, right? So Mar asked him to fight the hathi. In the morning, oh hathi ne char ke aana hai, you're going to fight that hathi. They gave that bachan to Dunijand. Raat nu oh dar gaya. He started to get scared that hathi ne aida karna, he's going to basically trample me, I'm going to be destroyed. How can I fight a hathi covered in armor, head to toe, who's going to be charging towards me? How am I going to defeat him? Right? And at night time, he escaped. And as he was escaping, he actually fell, broke his ankle. He limped home. And at night time, he got bit by a snake. And that snake was poisonous and killed him. That bhajan then was given to Bhai Bachittar Singh. Bhai Bachittar Singh was small in stature, but he had that sharda, and he didn't have that home, because he said to Guru Sahib that, Maharaj, aap ji di kirpa de naal, right, tusi kara diyo hathi da, to kill the hathi. So he fought the hathi, and he was able to, sare nu pata hai that with that Nagari Barsha, that he was able to kill the hathi straight through the matha, the plate straight in the center of the hathi's forehead. It pierced that plate and killed the hathi, right? And he was one of the smallest in stature, right? But he didn't have that home, right? And he had that sharda in Sadhguru Sahib Ji, that Maharaj, tusi sab kuch karan diya. So that Bhai Dunijand left that seva of Guru Sahib and left in fear, but then was in a way, he didn't have a fruitful ending. Sant Seva. So this is that third type of seva that's mentioned. And this is where we start that translation of that Shabad, of that Pauri. Sev kiti santokhi jinni sacho sach tyaya. That those have done it, Jina ne those who have sacho sach tyaya, those that have contemplated and remembered and tyaya and embraced the true being, the true Akaal Purkh Vaheguru, Sacho Sach Tyaya, right? They are santokhi, they are of contentment, they do not have any desires, worldly desires in this world, right? And they have done the seva of the Sangat of Guru Sahib in every single format, or whatever format they've been able to do, they've done that seva because of them having this santokh, this contentment. And this is an example of Sant Seva, right? So Sant Gurdas Singh Ji, Khalsa Pindrawale, there's a picture of them there. They were the Jathedar of Namnamit Sal, the 12th Jathedar. And in their lifetime, they did Katha of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji from start to finish 27 times, right? They were imbued in the name of Akaal Purkh Vaheguru in Gurbani. They dedicated their whole life teaching Gurbani Santhya and the arth, the teachings, the meanings of Gurbani to Sikhs. And even till today, those Sikhs that learned that Gurbani, learned the teachings from Sant Gurdas Singh Ji, even live on today. And they are following that same path of teaching others, right? And in that time, Sant Kartar Singh Ji, who are sitting next to them doing the part here, right? They did the seva of Sant Gurdas Singh Ji, and along with Sant Baba Thakur Singh Ji, and they used to do their seva, and for 1 year they didn't sleep. This was how Kathan, this how Okha the seva was. They were tested to their fullest to see that, is this person just doing seva because he wants something back in return? Because if you want something back in return sometimes, you give up much easier because you want that quick fix, right? Or is that person doing the seva because of true love or true prem? And Sant Kartar Singh Ji, in their seva, in Sant Gurdas Singh Ji's seva, didn't sleep for 1 year. And they were so tired, right? They actually, at Darbar Sahib, Harmandir Sahib, they fell into the Sarovar. And Sant Gurdas Singh Ji told the Sikhs that, shiti shiti kaddo, to seva leni hai ji, right? And the Sikhs took him out of that Sarovar. That was how Kathan the seva was. Even when Sant Gurdas Singh Ji were resting, the Sikhs around would have to stay awake, right? If Sant Gurdas Singh Ji would need anything. They were tested, but they were tested because they were seeing what their intentions were, right? So that seva, Maharaj has said, Prabh eh manorat mera, Kripa nidan dayal mohi dijay kar santan ka chera rahao. That Maharaj is saying that, please make me the sevak of those sons. But those sons that are the ones that are imbued in Naam, right? They don't attach you to themselves. They attach you to Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Okay, so that is their courage. That is their whole manorat of coming to this world, is that they come to attach others to Gurbani. Because we're Kaljugi Jeev, right? We're filled with all these desires. And for us to make a connection with Guru Granth Sahib Ji is really difficult in this world, right? So Maharaj has sent these Mahapurush, these Brahmagyanis, where we can make a connection with them by talking to them, right? And have a conversation with them one-to-one. And we can build that relationship a lot easier. They then attach us to Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. What vidiyai, what praises did Sant Kartar Singh receive for doing the seva of Sant Gurdas Singh Ji? Well, that they became the 13th Dasdar, the 13th Mukhi of Namnamit Sal. They started the Dharm Yudh Morcha, right? They stood up for the rights of Sikhs at that time, right? And they again did Katha of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, just as Sant Gurdas Singh Ji did. They taught Singhs Gurbani Santhya, and they they made Guru Kar, so they did the Seva of Guru Kars as well. So they made the new headquarters of Daman Mitaksal Mehta. So they did the Seva of the Guru Kar, Kaar Seva Kitiya, Sadh Seva. So this is a picture of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Jadon Sauda Kita, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's father gave Guru Nanak Dev Ji money to do a Sauda. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji went to do that, they saw these sadhus that they were hungry for days and days, they hadn't eaten. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji started speaking to them and found out that they were really hungry, they hadn't eaten for many days. So Maharaj took that money that they were given by their father and they used it to shaka prashada to the sadhus and Sant Kartar there, right? Maharaj shaka that prashada to them because that was their seva, that was the seva they thought was more fruitful than doing a sauda. And that Sadh, so how we define that Sadh, right? Maharaj has said that Char Pada Je Ko Mange, Sadhana Ki Seva Lage. That one who prays for, he says, the four cardinal blessings or the four treasures, right? The four treasures which is known as Gyan Padarat, Mukta Padarat, Nam Padarat, and Janam Padarat, right? These are the Char Padarats, right? That one prays for, and if you do the seva of a sadh, of someone that has nirmal, pureness within inside them, right, the Maharaj goes, you receive those char padartha. And here Guru Nanak Dev Ji is giving that prasada. So they did that seva, they did that seva to show us as well that sab kuch mil janda is seva vicho. Gursikh di seva. Many of us might look over Gursikh di seva and how important it actually is. And straight away, I remember we did a camp a few years ago, and a question was asked amongst everyone that what's more important, Guru Sahib di seva or Sangat or Gursikh di seva, right? And there was this kind of debate. But this is how important Bhai Gurdas Ji puts in their vara, that equal to doing like bathing a Gursikh, bathing or helping them to bathe is like doing Ishnan in the Ganga or the river Ganges, right, 4 times, which was seen as a really, really high ujja thing to do, isn't it? And Maharaj goes on to say that if you sakha one person, one Shabad, if you sakha them one Shabad, that is equal to Sat Mandar, 7 palaces which are made out of gold. These are the types of phal that you get from doing Gursikh di seva. And Singhs would do they would lap up that seva of doing Gursikh di seva. When we have Sikhs come to our house, we shouldn't think, oh, you know, aage seva karni pehni, we have to do this or we have to do that. You know, prasada banana pehnaya, it's okha, it's really hard. Right? When you do the seva with that mindset, it's really going to be hard, right? How much are they going to eat, right? And all of these, you know, you start to have these questions and doubts in your mind. That seva that you do will not be fruitful, right? If you do it with pure love and pyar, right? First of all, that seva that you do, it will all be fulfilled by itself. Maharaj Api will kara that seva from you. And second of all, that will be more fruitful. You'll get more value out of doing seva with a pure desire. And once in Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Jeevani, in Guru Nanak Prakash, there's a Saki that comes. Bhai Mardana Ji asks Guru Nanak Dev Sahib Ji that, you know, you don't eat for like 1-2 years sometimes continuously, you haven't eaten anything. That minute bhukh lagi ya, like I'm starving. Tusi kidda rende adda, like you don't even complain. Te tusi adda kinna enna char 1-2 saal tusi kuch nahi shakde. How do you live like this? How can you not eat for so long? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji said that jadon koi bhi apne sikhan nu prashada shakaunda ya, that prashada reaches me, it comes to me. That's how when we do Gursikhan di Seva, right? That's what mindset we should do it in. That actually we're not just feeding these Sikhs, we're feeding Guru Sahib, right? A Guru Sahib nu janta hai. That's how much Shraddha Bhavana we should do it in. Lok Seva. So Lok Seva is more like the community Seva. So in Guru Sahib's times, where there was places where there was shortage of water or essential facilities, Guru Sahib Ji would do Seva. So many places there was no water facilities, right? And Maharaj created wells. So Gurdwara Johar Sahib, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, there was no water there. That Gurdwara is in Pakistan now. There was no water in that village. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji, where they sat, water started coming out, drawing out. And that water till this day, there's a sarovar built there. And that sarovar, the water from that sarovar still supplies water to the whole village down below. It's on a hill, below is the village, and that water supplies the village still to this day. Right? Gurdwara Shahda Sahib, Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji created wells there. Gurdwara Bauli Sahib and Goindwal Sahib, where you can see the seva being done. And this is where Maharaj created the 84 steps, the 84 steps that lead down to the Bauli Sahib. And Maharaj gave that bachan that whoever reads one Japji Sahib, does Ishnan in the Bauli, full Kesi Ishnan, comes to the first steps, read one Japji Sahib, goes back into the Bauli Sahib, does one full Kesi Ishnan, goes back onto the second step, does a second Japji Sahib part, and carries this on all the way up to the 84th step. That person will break free of the 84 lakh joon. Their 84 lakh joon will be kattiya, right? So we become liberated and one with Vaheguru. Maharaj created that Bauli Sahib for the pala of the Sangat then, in that time, but also for the pala of us today, living here today, because Sadha pala bhi ho gaya. And they gave the duty to Bhai Manak Chand. Bhai Manak Chand, when they were doing the seva of the Bauli Sahib, Bhai Manak Chand bhi seva karta reha, digging the mitti up from the ground, putting it in tokriya and carrying it out and throwing it out and keep digging and digging. But they got to a part where it was solid, right? It wasn't soft mitti, it was solid and it needed something to break. So you need like a torat or a massive hammer to break that hard part of the ground. And Maharaj gave the seva to Bhai Manak Chand. Bhai Manak Chand offered to break that stone. And when they went down and they broke that stone, because the water was under so much pressure underneath, when the stone broke open, the water went up and sucked Bhai Manak Chand in. Right? And when Bhai Manak Chand went in, his mother came and she was really upset, she was worried, and she was doing beintiya to Maharaj that mera pota uthe dob gaya, tusi kuch karo, tusi kuch beintiya kar diya, tusi kuch karo, help him. And Guru Ramdas Ji said that koi nahi tera pota theek hai, he'll come out fine. When he came out, he was unconscious, and then Maharaj brought him back. And when he came back, right, the Maharaj gave him beyond the blessings. They gave him beyond the blessings. And until today, you know how we looked at sometimes where one person's did seva, but their whole lineage, their whole parvar, their lineage, all be sara savar ho janda, right? That they all become liberated and they get all the fall from that seva that one person's done. Bhai Manak Chand, in their family lineage, there is a Gursikh that's named Baba Harnam Singh Ji. Baba Harnam Singh Ji stayed with Sant Kartar Singh Ji that we talked about. They were the first Vidyarthi, the first student of Sant Kartar Singh Ji. And they used to do a lot of seva in the langar as well at Gurdwara Akhand Prakash in Pindra, where Sant Kartar Singh Ji stayed. And at one time they were doing langar, they were in the langar, and a Garib family came to them, and they said that Meri beti da biyah, and can you give us something? Can you give us some money? They were really looking for money because they biyah karauna si. The Baba Harnam Singh ne kiya, mere ko te kuch nahi, I don't have anything, but ye do bodiyan de atta ya, that you can take these, ye le jo. And that was a lot in those times. And they gave them, and they khush ho ke chale gaye. And the Singhs at that time saw this and they thought, langar kidda pakauna, rotiya kidda pakauna, and they went and told Sant Guru Singh Ji, shikayat laati, that Baba Harnam Singh ne do buriya de atta kisi nu sangat nu de diya. And Sant Guru Singh Ji, when they called Baba Harnam Singh, they asked what had happened. And then at that time, Baba Harnam Singh said that, उन्होंने पूछ वो गरीब सी ते जो उन्होंने पूछा मैं वो दो बोरियां दे आटा दित्तियां. And Sant Gurбachittar Singh Ji said that तू तो पातशाह. That's why they gave the name Padshah. Until this day, they're known as Sant Baba Harnam Singh Padshah. Okay, so that was the lineage. They came from the lineage of Bhai Manak Chand, and that was a recent gal. The second Pangati of that body, Oni Mande Perna Rakhyo Kar Sukrit Taram Kamaya. So those Gursikhs, those that Mande Perna Rakhyo, that they haven't stepped in any wrong direction, Mande Perna Rakhyo, that they haven't become entangled in Maya, in falsehood, in Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, in these Panch Vikar, right? Kar Sukrit Taram Kamaya, and that they have Kamad Taram di Kirt Kamai, that they've earned an honest living, they've done Seva of the Panth. Those are examples of people such as Baba Adam Ji and Bhai Bhagtu Ji. Baba Adam Ji were very siane, they were in their 70s. And in their mind, they had they hadn't had any children. They weren't blessed with any children. But they still had that itcha that they wanted to have children. They wanted to have a son. And they went to many places. They went to many like Peer Jaga, Hor Pandit Kol Jana. Lots of people who promised them that we can give you a baby, right? And they went to them and did bintiya, but they never received that itcha that they had. And at one time, they were told that Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji is here at Goindwal Sahib. Tusi utthe jao, utthe seva karo, right? And Maharaj will do kirpa. So Baba Adam Ji went to Goindwal Sahib, and what they did is they started doing seva. Bauli di seva karniya, utthe, right, picking up mitti, just as you've seen those images, picking up mitti, putting it in the dokri, throwing it out. They did that seva. They also started gathering lakkar di seva. So what they used to do is they used to gather wood. They used to get 2 bundles. One bundle they'd keep for themselves, the other bundle they'd donate towards the Guru Kaar for the langar. And they used to do this every single day. And one day there was lots of rain, barish pei, and all the wood got wet. So the whole village there, all the sangat, Sikh who rende si, their wood got wet, and it was a cold day. So they weren't able to light fires or cook any langar. And Baba Adam Ji saw this, and they had loads of wood left over because they'd been collecting wood every single day. And there was no wood nearby, so people would have to go really far. It wasn't really like a woody alaka where there was lots of trees. So Baba Adam Ji had all this lakkar, and what they did is they wanted that lakkar to all the houses. Sikhan di seva kiti, right? Guru Kaar di seva kiti. Everyone was able to light fires, enjoy the heat, the garmi, and also cook their langar. And Guru Sahib Ji saw this because they knew that obviously sare di lakkar gilli hogi. But when they saw that ite sare paase aag lagi hai, right? People aag sekde hai, right? Khushi de vich. And they asked the Sangat then that ek hi ho reha, like what's happened here? They fir Sangat ne kiha jeta ek buzurg hai, and he's basically done seva and given lakkar to everyone. And ਜਦੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪੁੱਛ-ਗਿੱਛ ਕੀਤੀ, the langri of the Guru Kaar, he knew that Baba Adam Ji, because ਉਹ ਤੇ ਰੋਜ਼ ਹੀ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਲੱਕਰ ਦੇਣ ਲਈ. And he told then Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji that ਇਹ Baba Adam Ji ਆ, ਉਹ ਰੋਜ਼ ਹੀ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਲੰਗਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਲੱਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ. when Guru Sahib Ji heard this, they were happy. They called Baba Adam Ji. And when Baba Adam Ji went, they asked Baba Adam Ji that tusi seva kiti Guru Ghar di, te tusi apna dasso, jada jo bhi ichha hai, whatever your ichha is, tell us what you want, right? And Maharaj and Baba Adam Ji at that time started thinking in his mind that, you know what, if I ask for a putter, if I ask for a son or a child, right, it's really embarrassing because I'm really old, I'm in my 70s, all the Sangat are here, they're listening, or they can hear me, and people are going to laugh. It's quite embarrassing. Sharm di gall ya, jida ye buddha hai, jida bachche li puchda ya. So they didn't ask. Instead, they said that Maharaj bas darshan di jaye, or darshan milde rehn. But Guru Ramdas Ji, antarjamiya, they're knower of everything. But they knew that there was something else that that Baba Adam Ji wanted. So they said, koi gal nahi, tu kal nu aaji, come tomorrow and bring your wife as well. Karwali nu bhi na leke aayi. Baba Adam Ji said, theek hai, namaskar karke, they went back home. When they explained everything to their wife, she was like really upset that this was your opportunity to ask Guru Sahib that you didn't ask. But he said, koi gal nahi, he goes, kal nu bhi sanu sadhyaya and we'll go together. And she goes, theek hai, fir thodi ji theek hogi. Then the next day, they both went, namaskar kiti si Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji no. And then Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji asks again, tusi dasso ki lena hai? And there they asked that, sanu, you know, inne saal ho gaye, buzurg umar hogi, par sanu koi putter di daat nahi mili, we haven't had any child in our family. And Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji went quiet for a little while, and they said that, Baba Adam Ji, that you in your karam, koi bachcha nahi likhiya, that you've got no child written in your karam, right? That I can't give you that because you haven't got it written in your karam. And then they went quiet again. And after a little while, they said that, but because you've done seva of the Guru Ghar, you've done seva of the Sangat, of the Sikhs, right? That I will give you a child out of my Bhakti, out of my Kamai, out of my Bhakti, Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji saying, I will give you a child out of that. But you're to name that child Bhai Bhagtu Ji, right? And ode case nahi katne. Bhai Bhagtu Ji oda naam rakhna hai. And Baba Adam Ji said Sat Bachan. A year later, they were blessed with a child. They named him Bhai Bhagtu Ji. Bhai Bhagtu Ji grew up to be a Brahmgyani, right? Bhai Bhagtu Ji in Guru Arjan Dev Ji Sahib's time was a Gursikh that had full faith and did seva of the Guru Ghar. After his dad passed away, his mother was birthed as well, because not long after his father passed away, because obviously he was older in the first place, and then he used to look after his mother. And at one time, him and his mother were going to meet or do darshan of Guru Arjan Dev Ji. So the Guruship had been passed on from Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji to Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Guru Ramdas Sahib Ji or Jyoti Jyot Samage. So Guru Bhai Bhagtu Ji, it was a really hot day. It was like Jeth Mahina, in about May, June time. It was really hot. And they were walking. And his mata was really struggling. So she started saying that, I'm really thirsty, right? But there's no water nearby. And then Bhai Bhagtu Ji said, look, the next village is only like a few miles away, right? If we go there, we'll ask for some water there. And she goes, forget a few miles. She goes, I can't even walk a few steps. She goes, mate, I'm going to fall down here. So Bhai Bhagtu Ji said, like, look, you sit here, I'll go to the next village, run there, and bring some water back for you, right? He goes, but if you get really, really thirsty, right, and you're about to become behosh and faint, there's it's called a team in Punjabi. It's like a dry mound of mitti, right? He goes, pick that team up, pick it up, right, and drink the water that comes out, okay? And she goes, all right, he goes, but once you've drank it, put it back, yeah? And so he goes off and he runs to go find water in the next village. But then while his mother's waiting, she becomes really behold, she's about to faint. So she remembers what her son says. So she picks that mound of dirt up and water starts coming out. And she grabs the water and she starts drinking it. And oh, pani bhi amrit manga raha, right? It's like amrit. She drinks that water and she starts to like wash her face, like freshen up as well because it's so hot. So she does ishnan in that pani. And as she's doing ishnan, she's done ishnan. There's a goat herder that comes past with his goats. And he sees this as well. And he sees the pani and he knows that around that area there's no pani, nowhere, because he comes through this area all the time. And he sees this and his goats start drinking the water. They enjoy the water. Rajke Shakliya, he drinks the water. And then at the same time, once he's drinking it, there's pani obviously everywhere on the ground now at this time. Bhai Bhagtu Ji comes back and he sees this and he asks his mother what happened. She explains what happened and he goes, oh, I said to you to put the mound of dirt back once you've drank it. And she goes, oh, I drank the pani but then I forgot to put it back. And then Ovi Agya, the goat herder, and then he started, the goats drank it as well. And then at that same time that goat herder realised as well that this Bhai Bhagtu Ji is no ordinary person, there's someone special. He then fell at the feet of Bhai Bhagtu Ji, and Bhai Bhagtu Ji then gave him that bachan, that updesh to do Satnam Vaheguru, right? And they gave him that updesh that Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave when they came out of the Vaina, the Mool Mantar, Satnam Vaheguru da Jaap Karnaya. So he gave that bachan to him, and unu bhi Sikhi de naal jodya. This was the Jeevan of Baba Adam Ji, Baba Bhai Bhagtu Ji, right? Just from doing that seva, not just, but doing that seva of the Sangat of Guru Sahib, Baba Adam Ji's lineage, their child, he became a Brahmgyani, right? Oda bhi Jeevan Savarya, and this is an example of that seva. The next Pangati, Uni Dunya Tode Bandana, An Pani Thora Khaya, that those Sikhs, those people, that they've Ona Dunya Tode Bandana, that in this dunya, in this world, those bandhans that keep us shackled, and keep us shackled in these worldly desires, and in Kaam, Krodh, Lobh, Mohankar, the Panchvikar, right? Those shackles that keep us bound, right? Those Sikhs, they've broken those shackles of bandhana, they've broken those shackles, and they anpani thora kaya, and they drink and eat very little. Those Gursikh, such as these examples, there's an image there, there's Gur Seva, Baba Jeevani Singh, and Baba Thakur Singh Ji. They, in their lifetime, did so much seva, but didn't eat a lot, didn't sleep a lot, didn't speak a lot, right? And that's a proof in their Jeevan that what they did do a lot of is seva and a lot of simran. And this is when they did the seva, the Kaar Seva of Akaal Takhat Sahib, when after 1984, the attack on Akaal Takhat Sahib, right, the Indian government used the money from the Indian government, built Akaal Takhat Sahib, and Baba Thakur Singh Ji said, no, we're not going to take that money, we're going to use this Sadh Sangat's money to rebuild Akaal Takhat Sahib. So this is where Baba Ji, with Kaar Seva, they did the seva of Akaal Takhat Sahib, rebuilding the Akaal Takhat Sahib. And because it's been 20 years since Baba Thakur Singh Ji left this world for Sachkhand, we want to reflect a bit on their Jeevan and what they did, because this is more of a present day example of the seva that Baba Thakur Singh Ji did, but sevas that we can try and get involved in as well, right, and take inspiration from. And Baba Thakur Singh Ji, not only because they were the Karajkari Mukhi of Damdami Raksal, this was something that first of all, they were given the opportunity, or they were given the instruction that you can make anyone, just after Sant Kartar Singh, that they were told that you can make them Taksal Mukhi, anyone that you wish to. And they gave the Surupa, they gave the Dastard, Sant Gyani Jarnail Singh Khalsa Pindranawale, and they were the 14th Jathadar of the Manvi Taksal. And during their time in Taksal, they taught Sikhs Gurbani, and they spread that message of Gursikh, not even having to speak. They spread that message just from the radiance that they portrayed, right? The seva, their actions that they did, right? They drew so many people to Gursikh, right? They did Langar Di Seva. They were also part of the Langar Seva at Gurdwara Khand Prakash during Sant Gur Bachittar Singh Ji's times. Pindra, they used to do Hathi Seva of Singhs. So those young Singhs that used to come and stay at Taksal to do Gurbani Santya, right? We're lucky we've been brought up in a household where our mom and our dad look after us, and they wash our, give us a bath and do all of that, make our food, right? Those things didn't have their mother or fathers with them at that time. Baba Thakur Singh Ji used to wash their geese and give them and bathe them with their own hands, right, while they were young. So they were like their mother and their father, right, during that time. They used to do Langar Di Seva, like I said, Kaar Seva Kiti, Othe Akaal Takhat Sahib. They did Seva of Shaheed Parvar. So here we've got with us Bhai Bachittar Singh, Shaheed Bhai Bachittar Singh Ji's daughter. And if you speak to her, and you ask her even about Baba Thakur Singh Ji, even she will say that Baba Thakur Singh Ji never let us feel that we had lost someone in the family, that we lost our father. And in the same way, many parvars, Shaheed parvars, whether they lost their sons, their fathers, they were never felt the loss, because Baba Thakur Singh Ji provided them with money for their education, with food, with clothes, right? Just as a father would do for their family, right? Baba Thakur Singh Ji took that responsibility upon themselves and did that seva. And what were they given? What kind of ustati were they given? Sant Gyani Jarnail Singh said to Singhs that this is a walking, breathing God on earth, right? And even today we reflect on their Jeevan and what they did, listening to Gurbani constantly, and doing seva, and anyway doing seva as we've just covered there. So the final type of seva, which was Khalse di Seva, Tu bakshishi akala nit devah chadhe savaya, that tu bakshis den ala, the Akaal Takhat Vaheguru, right? Tusi den ala, you give us all these bakshisa, right? You give us all of these rewards, and nit devah chadhe savaya, that every day you keep continuously keep giving us those rewards, right? Those fruits of our seva. And Sadhguru Sahib Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji did the seva of creating that Khalsa Panth, right? And here in 1699, Guru Gobind Singh Ji took the heads of the Panch Pyare. But when they took the heads, they also gave the heads back, and they gave the Singhs the name Singh and the Bibia the name Kaur, right? And they gave them the liberation, that mukti. They broke them free of the 84 lakh June. If a Gursikh, and that same bhajan applies to us today, if we as Amritari Gursikhs, we take Amrit, we give our head, right? We're giving our head to our Guru, but what is our Guru giving in return? Our Guru Sahib Ji gives us in return mukti, breaking free from that 84 lakh June of being born and going through that birth and death cycle. But only if we keep red. If we keep Panchkara di red, refrain from the Jar Bhaja Kreta, and we do our Sadbaniya da Nitne. We give the Swand our honest Kamai, we give that the Swand. If we follow that red that the Panch Pyare have given us, then we have broken free from that 84 lakh June. That's what Guru Sahib Ji's given us. Okay, so that is the seva that Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave us. And Sant Kartar Singh Khasa Pindrawale, when the attack on Harmandir Sahib, Sri Akaal Takhat Sahib happened, they protected the sanctity of Sri Darbar Sahib, of Akaal Takhat Sahib with the Singhs. They did that seva. And until today, we remember their sacrifice, their seva that they did for the Khalsa Panth, right? So these are, again, there's so many examples of seva that Sikhs have done, Guru Sahib Ji's done, whatever format it is, whether it's Khalsa di Seva, Sangat di Seva, Guru Sahib di Seva, Lok Seva, Santa di Seva, whatever seva you do, if you do it nishkam, with prem, right, that without ego and in humility, the Maharaj will basically give you all your desires, whether they be worldly or whether they be spiritually, right? All of them will be fulfilled. And in that final Pangati of that Shabad, Vadiyai Vadda Paya, that Vadda Purkh, Akaal Purkh Vaheguru, Onanu Paya, that you've achieved that and you've obtained that Vadda Purkh, Akaal Purkh Vaheguru, and achieved that Vadiyai and achieved that praise. Those Santokhis, those people without any desires in this world, those that are content, have achieved that, becoming one with the Akaal Purkh Vaheguru. Until today, we remember their names and do their Vadiyai and do their praises. These Gursikhs that we see here, Baba Deep Singh, who wrote Surups, Hat Likhat Surups of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, right? Who did the seva of writing Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, of providing, the paper, the ink blot to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, when Guru Gobind Singh Ji at Damdama Sahib acharned the whole of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji from Ik Onkar to 18-10-20, Jeevani, Kant, Baba Deep Singh Seva was to provide the paper, the ink and the ink blot, while Bhai Mani Singh Ji wrote as Guru Gobind Singh Ji acharned it, this seva, and then following that they stayed at Damdama Sahib where they wrote 4 Surups of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Those Surups were sent to the Takht Sahibs, and then after that, when they were needed to protect the sanctity of Darbar Sahib, they did the seva of protecting the sanctity of Sri Harmandir Sahib, and they gave their head, and Maharaj ne still be on Shakti Deke, they were able to basically still protect the sanctity even without their head. Right? We remember these Gursikhs till today because of the seva that they've done throughout their lifetime. So I don't think we've got time for it now, but maybe if you take a picture of this is something that you can reflect on. You know, as part of the camp, we want to take something away, right? We don't want to come here and just basically go away, not taking anything away. So think about this, you know, write down a seva that you would like to do, right? Are you doing that seva currently? If not, then how can you work towards doing that seva? What help do you need? Who can you ask? And how can you achieve that seva, right? Write that down and then see how you can achieve those goals. And in a year's time, reflect back on those and see whether you've got any closer. And if you're not closer, why not, right? So, Bhul Chuk Maaf Karna. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.